Hi, everybody. Welcome to day 9 of the 9 days of candle lighting. And yes, I realize we're on the 7th of August, not the 8th, because 8/8 is going to be your day to decide how you want to work with the Lionsgate energy. And today I have marvelous Miss Kathy McConnell, and she will explain who she is and what she does. But we've had readers and astrologers and seekers in the stars before now, but Kathy is a person who actually is working with these energies that are coming on the earth. And I thought it might be interesting to see, okay, you tell me all these waves are coming and I've got this giant ohm coming from 2 black holes. What do I do with it all? I don't know if she can tell you what to do with all of it, but she can explain her perspective on working with it. But first we have to light the candles. Okay. Spin them around, so it's light them in the right order. I had to go to old school because my lighter broke, and I hope the matches work. Once I get one going, I'm okay. Aha. First candle, and I'll read about lighting the candles after I finished trying to not burn my hands. Okay. A little patience here, guys. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, light, and then 9. Yay, I'm going to make it. Okay. And what I'm saying is, together we light the 9 candles in the season of the Lion's Gate. Lion's Gate is an alignment of Sirius, Earth, and Orion, and it is a time for great energetic exchange with the universe. The portal date gives us a boost to people's aspirations. It allows us to manifest new ideas. It enhances our spiritual energy as individuals and within the collective. As we have learned to accept our own energetic vibrations, we are becoming aware that the energies arriving from the universe will support the changes on Gaia and on ourselves. We acknowledge that these many colored candles symbolize the expansion of energy from our own lives to seek balance within these universal shifts. We ride the waves to a better future. And for those of you who haven't been here before, I don't know how you ended up here today. The stones in the middle of the candles are the citrines, the bright orange one. The tiger's eye is the little spherical globe, and the fluorite is an octahedron, and they're there for prosperity, grounding, and spiritual cohesion. And so now I'm going to go to Miss Kathy. And I met Kathy McConnell at the beginning of, wasn't the very beginning, but we were still on heavy duty lockdown. You couldn't go anywhere. There were no vaccines, nothing. Every air molecule that was heading for you was going to kill you. So, and Kathy and I met in the middle of that. I did a reading for her, and we got to talking about working with energy. And at the time, I was having a great deal of trouble with my lungs. I had a monitor so that I could tell, because at night my oxygen sats were getting down to 88. And I started talking, and she was talking about improving her work with distance healing. And so she called me a couple days later and said, I figured out how I want to structure this group. Do you want to be part of it? And the week from that first day she worked with me, my oxygen sats have never gotten below 90 again. And I could send her little graphs, because my watch records it all and I can get it all. So she's been a tremendous help to me. She's been a tremendous help to other people I know. And she actually works with this energy. We may just feel it and we may feel enlightened and we may feel downloaded by it, but she actually works with it and puts it to practical use. So now with that just really not too overwhelming endorsement, I want to introduce you to Kathy McConnell, and she'll explain to you where she is and what she's doing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, where do I start? I will begin by saying it is totally mysterious to me how this works.
Mm-hmm.
So I do most of it or all of it in my imagination. And so I think by making that claim, it shows how potent the mind is, and the mind and the imagination is. I'm gonna go back to around the COVID shutdown time, but for right now, I want to say I'm dealing directly with working with plasma. And plasma is a state of matter that people don't talk about very much. We don't learn about it in school. And it's because it's confusing and it doesn't match the other states of matter. So what I mean by states of matter is you learn in school solid, liquid, gas, 3 states of matter, and hardly anybody ever mentions plasma, but there's a 4th state of matter, and it's plasma. And its properties are mysterious and they don't make a lot of sense. And so it's really hard to teach. And I think that's why they don't teach it much in school. But okay, here's an example. This light behind me, I don't know if you can see it moving. That's a plasma. That's filled with plasma and electricity. Mm-hmm. So if I go up to it, put my hand here, it focuses. It's like lightning. Mm-hmm. Okay. So plasma is the northern lights, lightning. The sun is made of plasma. There's a theory that the center of the earth is a concentrated plasma. So you're talking a lot about all these cosmic events that are going on. And this is just a guess on my part. I haven't read this anywhere, but although it may be a guess on other people's parts, but I think that if the core of the earth is made of a dense plasma, mm-hmm. and the sun is sending out its sunspot activity, which is, like you said earlier, unusual right now, unusually active right now. The core of the center of the earth and the sun are communicating with each, mm-hmm. other. Right. And so there's an interplay, there's an interaction in all of the universe of plasma. So in a way, it sort of acts as one body. Mm-hmm. You can kind of think of it. Okay. And so then it's electrical, and it represents it's the medium in which thoughts are conveyed. Mm-hmm. So that's my working theory, is the reason why long distance healing works, is because if you can get your ego out of the way and use your thoughts as if they were a piece of lightning that you can direct anywhere you want to, your thoughts will etch through the plasma and create a pathway. Mm-hmm. And then so you light the pathway and you bring other people with you on that pathway. That's my working hypothesis for right now. But let me see. How do I start? Okay, so the COVID shutdown, I started watching a lot of YouTube channels, and I saw yours, and I saw the grid, and I went, oh, that's what I want, because I'm also a very earthy person, and as far as the elements go, earth is my orienting element. And so I know that all the crystals on our planet are also involved in this plasma communication with other living places. Okay. So the background, so I know I'm jumping around here a lot. The background of this was I got your grid, and then at the same time, I had been suddenly shut down from my work, which was body work. I worked with my hands on people's bodies, sculpting living tissue with my hands. All of a sudden, I couldn't do that, and I went, uh-oh. I sat down on this chair, closed my eyes, and it wasn't even I wasn't intending to meditate or anything, but I suddenly got this vision of a plasma network around the earth, different, focus points. And each of these focus points sort of represented a person or a healer, and all of them getting connected off the planet in a grid all the way around the earth, which is kind of like this plasma grid. So that's when I started thinking, okay, well, I'm going to have to take my work into the air instead of into the flesh.
Right.
And so I started I know. Yeah, that too. I went on YouTube and I started looking at videos about long distance healing, and just the same way I do with cooking. I want to cook a dish. I'll look at 4 or 5 different videos on how to make enchiladas, and then I'll put together what I like the best.
Right.
And they came out great. So that's kind of what I did with this long distance healing. I just kind of put things together that made sense to me. And then I met you, and I offered you a session because I was experimenting with it, and it turned into a whole body of work. So for the last, 3 years, I've been working with a group of people that Nancy Jean helped connect with me, and about half of them are my friends, and half of them are people I've never met that I met through Nancy Jean. We've been doing a regular once a week long distance healing. It's not by Zoom. Most people assume we do it by Zoom, but I just send a text to the people that are in the group, and then I do my work on the table.
Right.
And people receive the work. So it's a question like, how do I do it? Let me just say that in my mind, I tend to be a little bit skeptical. And also I come from a science-backed background, science-based background. And so part of me, I have to set aside, the skeptical part of me, I have to set aside, and the playful pretending part of me comes out. So it's kind of like maybe almost like acting, and I do a lot of gesturing, but what gets me connected to being able to transmit this plasma to the people in the group is a little prayer I do at the beginning, where I ask to let Mary, Mother of God, work through me. So I connect to her, step aside, and she's the one that's running the plasma from me onto the table to the people. So, okay, well, some practical things that a lot of people do when doing long distance healing is I have a selenite wand that's about 18 inches long, about 2 inches wide on my practice table. I have a massage table. And so when I send the text out to the people, I gather everybody together with my hands and I throw them into the crystal. And then do my little routine from there. And one of the parts of the routine that's related to plasma is I draw this grid on above the body that is like that is a copy of what's called the Birkeland Current. And the Birkeland Current is a theory about how the Northern Lights work, and it's just a scientific drawing of a energy grid,
Okay.
basically. I hope I'm making sense,
Yeah,
because I know I'm bouncing around a lot.
it's okay.
Do you have any kind of direction you'd like to head in?
I'm going to tell you that when I first started working with Kathy, the way she did it, it was later in the afternoon where I am, earlier in the day. Where I'm in the Midwest, she's on the West Coast. And my kids started getting really upset because it happened to be always on Tuesdays. I'd like sit down in my chair and I'd almost fall asleep. Well, during that time that she's working, and they didn't know I'm sitting here working with Kathy, because you don't have to be attached by the phone or anything else, but you can feel very relaxed and and yet when I get up, then I'd go do dinner and I'd be energized, and they were like, why are you having to take a nap in the afternoon, And I was like, no, I was just talking with Kathy. I don't know what to say, kids. But no, if you haven't experienced distance healing, and you're one of those people where your eyes have already rolled to the back of your head so bad you're seeing the wall behind you, there's a lot that goes on in healing that we don't know, that we don't understand, and these energetic changes are going to mean that we have more energy inside us. Kathy has figured out a way to direct it, but that we all have the opportunity to work with the feelings that are going on around us. So,
Okay.
Go.
I was going to say, okay, that gives me an idea of where to head this. So I think that I for a while I started to call this the new medicine, because we're having such crisis in healthcare systems worldwide. They're just not working. And with your experience about the help with your lungs, and at the same time, kind of with the COVID shutdown happening and this problem with lungs and breathing and stuff like that. So I started keeping documentation about people's numbers getting better for problems they were having. And it really works. It's not expensive, and anybody can get helped from far away. They don't have to go to the doctor or the hospital. So I have a feeling that, I don't know when, but it's not going to be too far in the distant future that we're going to be starting to heal people without it being so expensive and difficult.
Well, when Kathy reaches out to heal you, to work with getting you whatever sort of wrong healed, and I don't take, the only thing I am prescribed to take is an aspirin a day, and I take the little baby ones. It's like a blood thinner. But, I understand it from my doctors that most people my age are taking at least 10 pharmaceutical drugs a day, and I had to go to the cardiologist because I did have an ascension symptom of heart palpitations, and all they did is they did all the tests and found out there was absolutely nothing wrong with my heart. But I'd rather know for sure than assume, that. But when I was talking to the cardiologist, he said, well, what do you do for routine treatments? And I was telling him, I work with a distance healer. Now, for a lot of people, you would say that to your cardiologist. I do, because his aunt is an astrologer in India. So he's like, yeah, well, he said, do what you're doing. I have other things, but their pills don't really work too well on me. So
Yeah, all those meds give people brain fog
Mm-hmm.
and really poison the liver. So, yeah, we need to clean our blood,
Mm-hmm.
breathe some air, get a lot of earth grounding.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't get the long distance healing, at least start relating to the earth as a healer.
Right. And
Yeah.
understand there's a lot of meditations not to get rid of the charming middleman that you are, but there are a lot of meditations and things you can do so you can take back control. But you have to have faith it works. And I think sometimes that comes from working with someone like Kathy and finding out that this actually does work.
Yes. And part of my intention when this body of work is going to actually be introduced to a wider audience, which I suspect will happen in about 6 to 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
Is that learning is best done under light circumstances. Learning and healing need light,
Right.
and light in the way of electricity, electrical
Mm-hmm.
light, plasma light, but also light in the way of humor
Mm-hmm.
and being silly,
Mm-hmm.
being willing to pretend, being willing to suspend your disbelief
Mm-hmm.
just for the moment. And also the learning of a skill, a very important skill is learning how to be present in the present moment to alleviate, I think what you've been talking about, Nancy, is the depression or the anxiety, worrying about the sticking in the past or
Mm-hmm.
being worried about the future. So have fun in the present moment. And that's where the healing happens. So you look for the health first.
Mm-hmm.
You don't focus on the problem. You focus on what's working and you grow that.
That's
That's
right.
a basic osteopathic principle
Yeah,
about
and
growing health.
we are in a time when our planet's getting presented a lot of energy that's going to upgrade us in ways that Kathy and I can't even begin to explain when you get into the genetics of it. And, that we're going from being a carbon-based form to a more crystalline form.
Right.
But it's not a race, guys. It's everybody's going to be at the place they can be. And there's things you can do working with pendulums to increase your understanding of your vibration. Lots of those things that can just kind of ooch you along and make you feel more confident that you're on the right path.
Right. Right. And even eating better.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean, that's a given, obviously, but yeah, vibrations and clean water,
if you can find it,
kindness.
get a good filtering system, kids, because there's a lot. I mean, I want us to go crystalline. I don't want us to go plastic.
Right.
You know, but if you can find an energy healer or find a person now that we can go out and depending on how brave you are, I could find an acupuncturist. You can find people who can work with you and help you figure out how to run these energies through your body.
Yes. Yeah. I was the other day you had a show on it that where you were talking about the ley lines getting kind of straightened out. And then
They used to only straighten a couple days before and a couple days after the equinoxes and the solstices, and now they're forming themselves into straight, much wider lines for up to 34 days before them. And that's happened in the last year. It's gone from being 3 or 4 days to 34 days.
Okay. Well, so that one of my working models is that the body, our bodies are earth based, and
Mhm.
the earth is earth based. So so many corresponding things with the body and the earth together. So when you were talking about those ley lines, it occurred to me, yeah, the ley lines are probably like the acupuncture meridians in our bodies.
They are. Also they're sort of the interstate highway for the elementals, for them to flow around and run around the world.
Okay.
That's why the lines are, when you get on them, if you find one, there's so much energy there, because especially now, because the elementals are starting to really move and get up and move around, because it's foretold that in the next 2 years more people will be able to see them. They're going to feel welcome back, because they need to come back to help the earth heal. So get ready for it. I mean, I heard one channeler say even the dragons will fly off the wall they've been frozen on for centuries. I don't think
Oh
you
my
want to be
God.
near. I want to be near a Chinese temple that day.
Yeah, so the ley lines are getting broader and bigger as
Straight.
railroad tracks for
Mhm.
the elemental trains.
Right. And also to hold the energy in. I was talking with a guy who's in South Africa, and he actually repairs ley lines. He does it with a lot of astral projection and energetics. But um, South Africa is kind of interesting, because when the continental splits happened, a lot of the ley lines that they had that went across to Australia and New Zealand got broken, and they have to reconnect them through the stars. It's a long story. But anyway, I
Okay.
was talking to him about it, and I said, well, what's the big deal? Why do we all have to all of a sudden get on the same page? And he said, because he'd been told that there will come a time when so much energy is built up in the earth from energy coming from outside, and the photonic energy, since we don't have the cloud that went away in 2017, the galactic cloud that was protecting us from a lot of subatomic particles. They don't stay with us, they pass through us, but they do cause a buildup of energy. And the thing you're talking about at the center of the earth, is it an iron core? Is it a plasma core? Whatever it is. But there's supposed to come a time when it will get so energized that it will ring like a Schumann
Oh,
resonance. It will go wah, 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 wah out across the earth. And if the ley lines aren't tight, the energy can't be directed properly. That's, he told me, is the reason for fixing them. I don't fix them. He does. So don't write me and say, how can I fix my ley line? I'll send you to his Facebook page. But he hasn't been
yeah.
doing much of it. He had a baby this year, and he was given time off for parenting.
Yeah. Um, so if anybody was going to ask me what should I do right now for preparation, I
Mm-hmm.
would say learn how to make friends with your ego.
Right.
Everybody wants to, or I don't want to make other people wrong, but my preference is to use my ego as a partner as opposed to an enemy, right?
Yeah.
So instead of going bad ego, we just say, hey, I hear you. We're gonna keep that thought here in the room, so you don't get dismissed. But for the moment, we're gonna play and stay in the moment. And actually, you were talking about channeling. That's how I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a little bit of channeling, but it's not the trance channeling that
Right.
other
Mm-hmm.
like entities or deities.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm more channeling Stardust, you
Right.
know. Uh, so that the only way I can really do that is, like I said, just making friends with my ego and stepping aside
Mm-hmm.
and being empty and open.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also where joy and love bubble up from the
Yeah.
spring. The spring underneath is this joy and love. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what the distance healing is that I'm doing. Some other distance healers, you're working one-on-one and you've got a problem and you identify it and you try and fix the problem. And doing this with a group, I don't know what problem I'm working on. Instead of working on a problem, what I'm doing is I'm enhancing the health of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's not I'm doing it. It's more like we're throwing the medium into the group, and the group is also amplifying
Right.
whatever phenomenon is going on.
Yeah, we have to find the good stuff for ourselves and work with it. It's
Yeah.
not a passive. You're not going to go to a distance healer who's going to send you the lightning bolt that's going to be the solution.
Right.
You have to participate in it. And I've always participated in anything that had to do with my overall health or well-being. And I consider what you and I work on as my well-being. It's not, it happens to be reflected in a health situation I can measure, but it's really my overall well-being.
Right. Right. And working on sort of an energetic field or a magnetic field around your body that is affecting your flesh, because I'm not touching anything. So
Yeah. And I'm really a great believer in we have no idea in some ways how we get sick, and in some ways how we get well. What I was raised in um, didn't solve those problems. And it wasn't until I turned my back on it and said, I have to find my own way, and started listening to my own self. And then all of a sudden, people like Kathy show up. I mean, when you're open to it, then the universe will provide the person for you,
right.
or
And
persons, or
and you don't want to not go to the doctor because you think some energy worker is gonna fix your problem.
No, you need to go to
It's like going on the YouTube channel looking for 6 different recipes for enchiladas. It's like, okay, you go to your doctor, you go to this person, you go to this person, and then get the combination that
right, and you get the
works best for
combination
you.
right, because
Yeah, and don't give up your power. That's the problem with our one of the problems with our conventional medicine right now is you walk into the doctor's office and there's a real power differential, extreme power differential that can be unhealthy. So yeah, hold on to your power.
yeah, I won't get into all of it, but I did the genetic test to see how meds work with my body. It's most interesting because I'd given them kind of a list of all the times I had a lot of things. They'd give me an anesthetic and it wouldn't work. I'd wake up too soon in anesthesia. That was my favorite trick. Um, and other drugs that, they said, oh, it'll just calm you down a little bit. 2 weeks later, I realized I was writing in this notebook and I couldn't read the handwriting of what I'd been writing. But I kept saying to people, was I weird recently? And said, oh, you're a lot calmer, but, and I had no idea where I'd been. So apparently that really is me getting out of the way of my ego. But, anyway, there's a lot of them, and I'm allergic to most antibiotics. They're not terribly efficient with me. So I kind of wrote out a list like that, and then they ran all the tests, and then we analyzed it. And lo and behold, I'm not great with analgesics. I'm not great with painkillers. These things are very different for me. And so and if you're on Medicare, you can get that test for nothing.
Oh,
They want to know. The company
what's it called? A medication?
What it is, you can call, it's the company I worked with is Geneiq, and it's based here in Dallas. And there are several different companies that do it. But what they do is it's a genetic test to see how you respond to pharmaceuticals.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's the report I got was 39 pages long. I mean, there's a lot of meds in there I'm never going to take. God help them if I ever become a complete psycho, because there was nothing in their little bag of tricks that would do anything but make me crazier. So, and I talked to my doctor about it, and when they fixed the medical, how much medicines cost, when they lowered the insulin to $35 a month per person, this test used to be thousands of dollars to get it done because they're doing this incredible. And then someone has to sit down and interpret it all. And when they lowered the price, then they found ways to make it more practicable. And my medical practice that I go to now, I had already had mine done, so I had my report ready to hand to them. They just signed a contract with a company to offer that to their patients, and where they started is the patients that were in nursing homes, because when they sent them in to do the genetic testing in one of the nursing homes, one of the older men that was being treated there, he was on 19 meds a day, and his family kept saying nothing was helping him. Well, the first thing they found out was 11 of the meds they were giving him don't have any active effect with him. His body's not wired for it. So then they got back, and it ended up he's on like 4 meds because a bunch of the other ones all were fighting each other. This one's winding you up and this one's kicking you down. And he said it was amazing. The family said, he came out of this fog and he was like himself again. So
yeah, that's the problem with running around trying to treat symptoms,
right,
instead of the system, like your whole system.
mm-hmm.
One drug after another, and then all of a sudden, there you go, you're a zombie.
Well, statins, I have a thing about. I can't take them. They hurt my body when I took them. They wanted me to take it because when I was back over 300 pounds, my blood fats reflected the fact that I weighed 300 pounds. And when, I just quit taking it because it was uncomfortable. Well, a friend of mine I went to high school with, who's a PhD in forensic anthropology, they wanted her to go on statins, so she started reading up on them. And she said, that's what they're clearing out of your body is the fat your brain needs to think.
Exactly. Cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
This is a different kind of energy healing. Anyway, do you have anything else you want to say in conclusion, Kathy? I'm going to have in the below how people can find you and reach you.
Well, I've sort of been hiding for the last 3 years. I used to have a website for my old business, which was hands-on bodywork, but I took that down. And so right now I'm not doing any kind of business promotion, but I do have a YouTube channel. It's called Plasmatic Lightwork. And if you want to just like put a bookmark, just go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I haven't put out very many videos. There's like 2 or 3 of me reading some poetry. I like to write poems about light in the body, kind of matches this plasma stuff I'm working with. And so then when I start to come out from behind the rocks that I'm hiding behind, my YouTube channel will become active, and then eventually I'll probably have some kind of a website. But for right now, I'll just say trust energy healing. If you've never had a session, try one. And you can do Google searches for energy healing societies or committees or whatever, commissions, to get a list of legitimate people, because
Mm.
there's room for fraud in there when somebody says they're doing energy healing and they're not. So I would just get I would get some sort of a validation. I don't know what else is. Also, other energy healing that's like pretty conventional that for me is very effective is acupuncture. So if
Yeah.
you have the opportunity to see an acupuncturist, they work systemically to keep you healthy.
I had a really good one that helped me through a period of time. They really got me so I could sleep again, and then brought my blood pressure back down because I wasn't sleeping and my blood pressure was sky high. They lowered the first time I had acupuncture, they lowered my blood pressure so quickly that they made me stay with them for a half hour after I
Because it was so low.
because it was so low. I was about to pass out. They said, "Are you sure you don't want us to call someone to come get you?" I made it home, and they said, "You just go right home and get, don't drive any further than you have to." I made it home, but yeah, it was a real lesson. And all they did was stick a few pins in me, and my blood pressure went way down. And mine is normally pretty high, so when it gets low, it's like my brain's going, where'd the blood go? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I'll just say one more thing about self-care. If you want to learn how to run energy through your body, the way I learned it that appeals to me the most is with Qigong. And Qigong is a movement method of connecting to the energy of the heavens, the energy of the earth, bringing it into your body, and then running it through the meridians just with your mind. So that's how you can learn how to use your own mind to run energy.
Right.
And there's a ton of resources on YouTube for beginning Qigong videos. And Qigong is usually spelled Qigong. Qi is Qi. And so yeah, if you've never done anything at all, I would start with Qigong.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, so I want to thank you so much for being here today. We're going to take a look at the candles one last time. Let's see. It got out of whack here. There we go. And I'm just going to leave them go now, and they'll burn down till they're finished because we are done. You are the last day of the 9 candles.
Oh my goodness.
So thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank everyone who's come to visit us, and love and light, blessings. And as your candles go out, the smoke that trails up towards the heaven is the trail end of your prayer. So have a good day. Thank you, Kathy, so much for coming.
Thanks, Nancy Jean.